How you going, everyone? Just to give you a bit of an update video on the 74 HQ Prem that I'm currently building. Now, as you'll see, since the last video, I've gone through and reassembled the front clip and bolted it up to the car. Now, I have replaced all the springs, shocks, rubbers, ball joints, bearings, rotors on that, and gone through the steering box, reconditioned the intermediate steering shaft, so that way it'll give us a nice, clean, crisp feel on the road again. With the chassis, what I've done there is it's been stripped back to bare metal, and then I've gone over with a flapping disc and a burr grinder just to get rid of all the welding dags and everything that you get on these from factory. Now, after it was all smoothed and cleaned off, I've then gone over it with an epoxy primer and a couple of good coats of black gloss, just so it ties in nicely with the underside of the car that we've gone through already. Now, another thing I did was I've actually fitted all of the brake lines and fuel lines through underneath the car. Now, the reason I did this already was it's just so much easier with the guards off and no engine and box in place, just to maneuver them into the right positions, as they've got all kinds of bends through them. Now, with the wiring, what I've done there is I've stripped the whole wiring loom back to bare wires, just to check to make sure it was in good condition and repair anything that was needed. Luckily, there's only a couple of little tines that people had done over the years, so I've fixed them up and redirected everything now, so it's a nice, neat wiring loom. So as you'll see, it's running across the lower seam of the firewall now, rather than up underneath the top seam. I'm just basically chasing a nice, clean finish with the wires, and I've directed them into places where I can hide them a lot. So as you'll see, I've got up through the center of the firewall, I've got the positive for the HDI dizzy that I need, and your oil and temp. You've got your washer motor here. Now, one thing I did here was I'm putting a later model wiper motor on. So with the HQs, they ran the washers from the actual motor. Now, to change the wiring, all you have to do is splice a wire into the bottom wire here on the side with the groove on it. And then I've just run it down to the front of the wiring loom down here with the existing washer wire that was up at the wiper motor, and then I'll run the remote motor straight out of the water canister down here. So as you'll see, it's just nice, tidy look there. If you notice, the front of the wiring loom's incomplete. Now, the reason I did this was I'm going to run the wires up through the inside of the inner guard, just to avoid it running over the top of the inner guard from factory, just for that cleaner look again. Now, with that, I added about a foot of wire to it, just to account for the extra distance needed. So once I've got all the front end back together, I'll actually splice all that back together. One thing with the heater box and brake booster. Now, a lot of people talk about what mastic to use on them. So obviously you want a non-setting mastic. You don't want a silicon-based mastic because you'll never get it off. Now, the only mastic I found on the market that actually matched the description was a Selly's N mastic. Now, that's obviously a non-curing mastic. And the beauty of that is, as you'll see here, just give you a bit of a look down here. Once you've fitted it, you just give it a good wipe down with prep wash, and it actually cleans it right up. You don't have all the excess spillage around it and so forth. So yeah, if you're looking for the correct mastic, just remember, just Selly's N mastic. I just picked that up from Bunnings. It was the only non-curing mastic I could actually find on the market. Everything else was a bit more oil-based, where they call it a semi-permanent mastic, but that's not what you want to put on these things. You want something you can separate if you need to. Okay, so other than the front end, I've bolted the diff up. As you can see, use shocks and springs and rubbers and everything through here again. I'll give you a quick look on the brake lines underneath. Now I've obviously coated these in a satin black epoxy. I just did that purely for looks, rather than having the metal look all underneath the car. You do your fuel lines and your brake lines in the black, but it basically hides them. As you can see, it's obviously new rubber hose there as well. So it ties all nicely into the clean floor plans, the painted floor pans. So there we go, guys. Bit of an update. All the suspensions together, the wiring sorted out. So we'll keep it nice and neat. Now the next job, we've got to bolt the engine and box up, and then go through and bolt all the hanging panels on. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the update. If you want to follow the build as I go along, just subscribe and like, and you'll get the updates as they come along. Anyway, guys, hopefully there's a couple of little pointers there for anyone going through a build at the moment. And yeah, just hit us up if you've got any questions. Have a good day, guys. See ya.